Hey Plexus, I'm Brittany Howard, Diamond Ambassador, here with Christina Williams, Diamond Ambassador, and Amber Peters, who is a Senior Ruby Ambassador, knocking on Emerald's door, and also Hannah Wolf, Senior Ruby Ambassador. And we want to talk to you guys about marketing this Plexus cruise, whether you earned it or not. It is so important that you capitalize on the opportunity to grow your Plexus business by marketing what this opportunity offers. And one of the fun things about network marketing that makes this business model unique, makes it so fun, and makes it so attractive to so many people are the trips that we get to go on because this business model offers adventure and so many fun things and experiences that we get to do. And I know for myself personally, I never envisioned living a life that was so full and so rich of experiences and trips. And just, I often sit there and think, I cannot believe this is my life. And it's so fun to bring my kids with me or my husband. I know Hannah is bringing her mom, and that's very special to her. So just getting to experience so many different things with people that we love and in community, it just truly sets this business model apart. So, we want to give you some tips on how to market well so that you can get new customers, but even more excitingly, get new business builders. And I want you guys to hear from Amber and Hannah before we even jump into the marketing tips because they have such an inspiring story about what this the power of how marketing an incentive trip that you earn can grow your business. So, Amber, tell us a little bit about your last cruise and what happened as a result of your marketing efforts.
Oh man. Well, okay, so a little bit of a backstory for you guys on like leading up to the last cruise. So, Hannah Wolf is my level one, and I had reached out to her back in March of 2024,
Mm-mm.
right? No, 2023. And we had been chatting and she was giving me a lot of objections. She was pregnant at the time and she was a busy mom, a nurse, like all of the things, any objection you could think of. But I was pretty persistent on following up with her because I saw something in her and I didn't want to let her fall through the cracks. So I continued to follow up with her going into the cruise. And then before I got on the cruise, I was very intentional about what I was posting about to, market to people on my Facebook, like Hannah. And then when I got on the cruise, I was very intentional about what I was posting as well on the cruise. So that way, again, the people I was marketing to, like Hannah, would see my post. Um, while I was on the cruise, Hannah reached out to me after I had made a post and she was like, okay, tell me all about this when you get back from your cruise. I know you're on vacation, but I want in. And I don't know. I mean, you're gonna hear what Hannah's perspective on it, but um, I think that was a huge game changer was just making sure I was being very intentional about my post and you know, targeting a certain market, I guess you could say on my Facebook. But yeah, it was very fun to get a message like that on a cruise.
Yes, I'm sure. So you had been following up with Hannah for months and months and months.
Hmm.
She wasn't super interested. And now after that, after you went on that cruise, you marketed it well, she was interested. Now she's coming back on this cruise as a senior Ruby on your team. And not only that, she's gonna be a featured speaker on stage. So that is super fun. So Hannah, tell us your perspective about this story. How did you see this all going down?
Well, I didn't even really know Amber. We went to high school together and we had two totally different friend groups. And I was like, why does this girl keep following up with me? Like, leave me alone. I don't even know you. But at the same time, like Amber was saying, I was giving her every objection. Oh, I'll talk to my husband. Yeah, and then I wouldn't message her back, or oh, I'm pregnant, which was 9 months because it was 10 months of her following up with me. So then, it wasn't until I was postpartum then that I, things started to change hormonal wise for me, my energy. I'm a mom. Now I have a toddler running around on top of a baby. And I just sat there and I was watching Amber share about her postpartum journey for this entire time. And then, sharing about the opportunity. And I felt like it wasn't real. I thought there's no way that she's like earning a cruise or I just thought I was so skeptical. I thought this isn't real life. That doesn't happen to normal people. But then on the cruise, what got me was one, I was postpartum. Two, I was a burned out nurse and went back to work right after being postpartum, and we were short staffed. And I saw her post and I saw how valued she felt. And I thought, okay, I need that in my life. And I messaged her and I was like, all right, girl, you got to give me the details on this. I think I want to try the products. And then I think I want to, do this business. And so that was like such a game changer of watching her post her story on the cruise because she is just a normal person, just like me. And I always thought that you had to be super high up in a company or, have a lot of skills or something like that to be able to earn something like that. And so, yeah, so when she was sharing, I'm just this normal person, I was like, okay, I want to go on trips. I want to do fun things like this. And so that's really what got me actually was her sharing her cruise journey.
I love it. Okay, so y'all were connected on social media because you had gone to high school together.
Hmm.
But y'all didn't hang out, like you weren't friends or anything like that. Okay, well, that story sounds familiar, right, Christina? Same exact thing with me and Christina. Um, because I was a band nerd, she was an athlete. So we ran in different circles, but we were connected on social media because we knew each other in high school, but didn't really hang out. Okay, so I love that. And I love that Amber persisted with the follow up. So I read through the screenshots of like y'all's whole conversation, all those months leading up to the cruise. And several things stood out to me about the whole conversation. She wasn't just following up about the business. I noticed that she did a really good job, like trying to personally connect with you two and trying to show you that she cares. So we're going to come back to that at the end because I have a few more questions about that whole story. But let's jump into some marketing tips. So, obviously, Amber does a really good job with her marketing, and she enticed Hannah, who was a full time RN and mom, I think mom of two now, right, Hannah?
Yep.
Um, and so now here's Hannah as Senior Ruby, and she's coming back as a speaker. So let's talk about marketing. So we don't want you guys to think I'm going on vacation. I'm just going to check out of my business for 5 days or however long you're going to be on the boat because it's such an opportunity to actually grow your business. And if you are hungry for growth, you are going to want to capitalize on this opportunity and do not waste it. And so much of that is going to have to do with your marketing. Okay, so before you go on an incentive trip like this luxury cruise that we're all about to enjoy together, what do you post leading up to going on the trip? Amber, you go first.
Okay. Yeah, I think, when we're going on a trip like this, it's very exciting, right? Like we're all so excited to go on this trip. So you need to show that excitement on your social media. Put it in your post, your excitement. I'm really big with my stories. I don't know, if you don't watch how many people watch your stories, you should take a look at that because posting in your stories is super important because I feel like you can leverage that a lot more. Um, when you are posting about things like this, but definitely keep it super, super exciting. Talk about all the things that you're going to be bringing with you, like the outfits that you're going to be packing. Do some engagement things, like have them vote on a outfit that you're going to be wearing on the boat, or just sharing some of your like things that your extra things you're going to be bringing with you on your social media, sharing that you're packing your supplements, things like that. I also, encourage you guys to, like Hannah said, that I talked about how I'm a normal person, that I earned this cruise as a normal person. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, I'm not anything special. Like, I'm really not. And, emphasizing that on your social media, like, if you're not a diamond going on this cruise, then you should be talking about that. Like, hey, I am not in the top of this company and I earned this cruise. Like, I am literally just like you and you can earn this as well. And inviting them to come and earn it with you the next time. But making sure to like have high energy in your stories, get your face on your stories, talk. People want to hear what you have to say, whether you think they do or don't, do or don't, whatever they do. They want to hear what you have to say. People are curious. And especially if you're advertising that you are going on this lavish vacation, all paid for, people are going to want to know about it. So, um, that is my tip for before going on the cruise.
Okay, I love it. And what stands out to me too is how you said that you're talking about how I'm just a normal person. I'm not even at the top of this company yet. And it is true. The majority of people who earn this cruise are not actually jewels. They're not the top rank. They're not even the second or the third highest ranked. Most of the people who are in this cruise are not jewels. So this cruise can be earned by everybody. And I think the majority of them are golds and senior golds, actually. So you don't have to be high ranking and anybody can, but your audience needs to know that. So that really stood out to Hannah whenever Amber was on the last cruise. And so that's really important to talk about. All right, Hannah, what are you going to be posting about leading up to going on the cruise?
Yeah, so for me, this is just like such a full circle moment, I feel like, because the last cruise that you guys all went on, I was watching and didn't think it was real. And that's when I messaged Amber. And now I'm not only going on a cruise, but I'm speaking on it. Like, what is life? You know? And like you said, and like what Amber said too, is what caught me was that she shared that she was just a normal person. So I'm going to be sharing about that. I'm also, like you said earlier, I'm bringing my mom, and I'm so excited because my mom and I haven't been on a trip in a long time. I think probably back before or right when I was in college. We went on a little girls' trip. But so now, having kids and you just don't get to do things like this, usually my mom's my babysitter. So it's like, hey, mom, you want to come with? And she actually just retired from full-time nursing too. So that is very exciting. And so I'm just going to be, sharing about how I get to bring someone every single time I get to go on one of these trips. And in 1 year, I've been able to go on three. And I could have gone on more. But, things just didn't work out or, with daycare and all that stuff. And just being able to spoil my mom is really important to me because she's always been my biggest supporter. She's always, been there for me, never doubted me. And I think some people just think, oh, you're going to go on this cruise by yourself, but no, you always get to bring a guest. And I think that that is so much fun. And I think one of the other things that I'm going to be sharing about too is, yes, I'm obviously going to be sharing about should I wear these heels or should I wear these ones, right? I did a story about that today. But and like sharing, what should I be packing, getting my nails done, pampering myself. I never spent money on getting nails done before. And now I can splurge on myself. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. Especially if you're a mom, you don't ever want to spend money on yourself.
Yep.
And I'm also, going to be talking about doubts that I had way before I even started this was, I didn't think this was real. And I watched for 9 to 10 months. Like, don't make the same mistake I did and watch for that amount of time. Um, and I think so many people do. They just sit on the sidelines for a long time and never make that first move. And that's why following up with people and posting and getting in your stories is so important.
Mm-hmm. So good. So good. I love that. And you're right. It is so relatable to talk about getting your nails done and just as a mom, not really wanting to spend money on yourself or not able to spend money on yourself. I know that was definitely the case for me. Never paid to get my nails done until Plexus and all these trips. So that is definitely a blessing that I don't want to take for granted. Christina, if you have something to add in, feel free to just jump in whenever. Okay. So during the trip, what are you guys going to be posting? What is it? And I'll come back to that. What are you going to be posting about? What's top of mind for you as you are experiencing the trip? What are you going to be showing your audience, Amber?
Yeah, again, I'm all about the excitement and just keeping things super fun on my social media for people to see because I feel like you know, excitement is contagious. The energy is contagious. So, the first thing I think about is posting a room tour of my cabin right away when I get on the cruise, showing people like, if I have a balcony, like what my bathroom looks like, what my bed looks like, all of the fun things, and like having them kind of experience it with me on my social media. And then the other thing that I think about posting is like that team connection. So like posting a picture of you with your team on the cruise so people can see like it's not just you, like there's a whole bunch of people on this cruise with you, whether they're below you or your sidelines, like whatever it is, like post that big old picture of your team on social media for people to see. And then the other thing I would be posting about is anything you're doing on the cruise, like all the parties that we're going to. We have so many fun parties. Posting they do like karaoke nights. They do, I don't know if they're doing a silent disco or not this time, but the silent discos, like whatever it is, show people that they have all these fun parties and things on this cruise. Um, and then the other thing that I like to do on these trips is taking a minute away from like all of the excitement and just talking about all the gratitude that I have that I get to even go on this trip. And I think the last time I went back to my cabin, or maybe I like sat on the top deck of the cruise ship all by myself, and I just sat and I basically had a conversation with myself on my stories. Well, not with myself, but people were watching it. But I just talked about how grateful I was to be on this cruise because truly this is such a blessing for us to be able to go on a trip like this fully paid for because what other company out there not only pays you for your work but gives you free trips and lets you bring a guest with you. Like that is so cool. So, making sure that you're taking time to talk about that while you're on the trip. And then my other tip, and I didn't get to say this in the first part, but we should always be talking to our target market. At least that's how I feel when I talk on my social media. So my target market is moms, working moms or stay-at-home moms. um, but like if you're a young person, you don't have kids, like you should be target marketing the people who don't have children. Or if you are a Christian mama, you should be targeting the Christian mamas when you're talking in your stories. Like whatever your target market is, you should always be talking to that person. I heard somewhere that, if you're talking to every person, you're talking to no person. So you should always be talking to like one person, one on one in your phone when you're posting a story or when you're posting a post. You should be thinking about who you're going to be impacting when you make this post. So anyway, yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts that I'm going to be doing on the cruise, posting about, and I definitely encourage you guys to think about doing too.
Can I interject?
Mhm.
Something that I do when I break off away like that, Amber, I do the same thing in my stories. What I will try to talk to is my ideal, avatar who I'm trying to attract, but I will go ahead and talk through what I think she's thinking would hold her back. So like each time I'm in my stories talking to that person, I'll be hitting a different objection or, like just whatever somebody in my target audience, what their most common objection is, I'll talk through that with them. Like, I know what you're probably thinking. You're sitting over there seeing me here, and you're thinking that it must be because I'm an extrovert. And you're thinking, must be nice. I would love to be an extrovert so I could go on that trip. But did you know my neighbor down the hall is a massive introvert and she's here too? And here's how she got here. So I'll try to think through what could cause them to think that couldn't be for me because of this thing, and I'll speak to that particular thing, and I might do that once a day while I'm there. Which also it leads to a second tip: meet people on the boat. Meet people on the boat so that way you can say, hey, I met somebody on the boat, she was a dental hygienist, I thought about you because you are too, and she mentioned the same frustrations that you mentioned, and here's what, whatever. So tip number 2: meet people on the boat.
Love it. All right, Hannah, what are you going to be posting while you are on the cruise during the trip?
Well, I really, really think that it's fun to post from having like your own perspective, kind of like what Amber had shared earlier. But I think that it would be so cool to post like me walking into the shopping spree, me walking into the cruise, like waving to everyone, just loving life and just really being so excited, just like what Amber said, because people can feel your excitement, they can feel your energy. And so if you're just sitting there, yeah, I love this cruise. Oh, it's so much fun. Well, come on. I mean, you got to be excited. Yeah. And why wouldn't you be excited? You earned a cruise. So, yeah, I really think that that would be really cool to have it be almost as if they're coming with you and they're seeing what your perspective is. And then I'm obviously going to be sharing the team, the connections that I've made, who I've met, things like that. Obviously, Amber, because if it wasn't for Amber reaching out to me, I wouldn't be here. And, I think just like to piggyback off of what Christina had said, about that, so many people think, oh, I'm a very extroverted person. So I've had that objection a lot from people. I'm not like you. I can't just talk to a wall. And so I think, so many people on this cruise are so different than you and myself and Amber and Christina, and everyone is so different that, you can share, hey, this person, is a stay-at-home mom and, she bakes sourdough. Like, hey, you bake sourdough. That is your thing, like find some common ground that they, can relate with. And then I'm obviously going to be sharing my speech. I've really grown a lot this entire year and with my mindset, my leadership skills. And, that is just proof that, I am leading people and, changing my life. And I'm not only just going by myself like I did in Punta Cana with my husband, I'm actually bringing a few people on this cruise with me, which is just so much more exciting. I obviously love helping customers, but oh my goodness, it's so much more fun to bring people on your team and like be able to help them financially. And like now I get to bring these other women with me and we get to experience it together. And I think that is so, so important to share, like, hey, it's not just me this time, like it was in Punta Cana. I get to bring all these other, multiple other people. And it's all our first trip together, which is really exciting. So, yeah, I think I'm going to be sharing a lot about just the connections, the team, and just how much fun everything is. I mean, you get there's literally Plexus parties are like off the charts. Like people just do not know until you know and you're on the cruise and you're experiencing a Plexus party. And I'm so excited to bring my team now and show them what it's like.
Yeah. So, what would you guys be thinking if you were a prospect? What did you think, Hannah, as a nurse, as Amber is talking about the parties that she attended, and she's posting pictures of like the team and all the people she's sitting by the pool brainstorming and strategizing with. Like, what would an RN at home think about that type of content? And then Amber, I want to hear your answer too as a stay-at-home mom, and also you have bartending experience. So I just want to hear y'all's perspective. Like, what would y'all think about somebody posting that type of thing?
I thought that it like I was like flabbergasted. I felt like I was sitting there like I don't know what she's doing over there, but I want what she's doing. I don't want to be, you know, taking care of other people. I mean, yes, I love people and I'm such a people person. I love talking to everyone. And I think that's actually why I loved Plexus Opportunity because it was a way for me to be able to still help people with their health and yet still had an opportunity to be able to earn trips instead of get the same cup for 3 years in a row like I did from the hospital that I was at, and so
So
I
no
was like,
cruises, no cruises at the
right,
hospital.
no cruises. I never even met the CEO of, the whole 5 times I worked in the hospital. Or 5 years. I'm like, I don't even know who that person is. I think I might have seen her on an email, but, and just, to be able to meet Alec Clark and all the executives, like they're you and and I don't know. I was like, this is not real. Like, but I wanted it. I wanted what she had.
Yeah,
So
good perspective. Amber?
Yeah, I think for me, it's like you said, I was a bartender when I started Plexus. So for me, I was working till 12, 1 a.m. a lot of the times. And like I obviously did not want to be doing that. So um and I was a mom as well. So I had one child. Now I have two, but I had one child at the time. And I was missing out on a lot of things. A lot of things. Like I was working every weekend and I would miss time with my family. So like if I saw somebody posting about that, I would just it would just give me so much inspiration to know that like that is something that I could do for myself, and not have to rely on working at the bar every weekend and every night, being away from my child. I like that was just not ideal. And then also like talking or just having the thought of being able to like spoil yourself too. Like as a mom, like I didn't get to spoil myself at all. And like the thought of even going on a vacation before I had a or after I had a child, I was like, that's never gonna happen for me. One, money, two, time. Like I don't have either of those things. So it just didn't feel realistic. And I feel like, there's so many people out there that can definitely relate to that. And it would it would just inspire so many people like it did for me to do something like this, and just like take that leap of faith. And I know it's obviously done for so many other people too, but yeah, I guess that's my perspective on it.
I love it. I think that is perspective that we just need to remember as we go on this trip because, especially if we have been on multiple Plexus trips already, we can forget what it's like, what life was like before we got to do all these fun things. And so it's just a really good perspective to hear. That's what our audience is going to be thinking as we are going. And so those are the things that they're going to need to hear you talking about while you're on this trip. One other quick question before we jump into what to do after the trip. But when you're on the trip, what does it look like as far as carving out time to create content? Do you carve out time? Do you just kind of post stories as you go, like as you're doing things? Do you have to concentrate? What do you do when there's like lots of people around? Which Amber, you already alluded to this a little bit, kind of stepping away from the crowd and just feeling your gratitude and expressing your gratitude in your stories and stuff like that. But what does it typically look like for you guys while you're on the trip to create the content?
Yeah, I think for me, I try and get a list of things that I really want to make sure that I hit on while I'm there in my content. So like having an idea of what I want to post about. So that way when I get there, I'm not like trying to think, oh, well, what should I take a picture of? Like who, like, what do I actually want to talk about in my stories? Have an idea of what you want before going on the cruise. Um, and then uh, it's really hard to predict your days while you're there because there is so much going on and you are wanting to get as much time as possible with people, but it is going to be important to carve out time. The last cruise, I took the mornings. I woke up pretty early, like I would get up at like 6:30, 7 o'clock each day, and I would go and grab a coffee and sit out on the deck and do my social media content and do my IPA work. And I took like 30 minutes to do that. Like it doesn't take that much time if you are prepping ahead of time, but and then you have like the pictures that you took from the day before. You don't need to post everything the day of. Like you can take pictures all day long on day one, and post some before you go to bed, maybe. And then you're going to post some in the morning when you wake up. Sorry, my dog is behind me. I think he needs a treat. He wants a treat or something. Um, but yeah, so just taking time like in the mornings or at night too, after and before your days.
Okay, cool. Love it. Is that the same thing you do, Hannah?
Yeah. I mean, my first few trips, I didn't know how important it was to market. Like, I think I made a post after Punta Cana. And I remember being on the trip in Punta Cana, and Amber was like, "Come on, we gotta take a picture. We gotta take a picture." And I was like, "No, I don't like, I wanna lay on the beach, take a picture of me laying on the beach." Like, I didn't realize how important it was, to sit there and market it. And so, I'm gonna be trying to plan my content beforehand, like even just putting ideas in like my notes app on my phone. And I already have some ideas. Like I really want to, showcase my mom coming, on the shopping spree with me and doing all of that. And so I already like have some ideas of, oh, I'm gonna get my mom walking in the shopping spree and, just little fun things like that. And um, you know, one thing that Amber and I did when Amber took me to Arizona with her is we took some time and did like a little collab. And that was kind of fun. So, I think that would be really cool to, do either with my team or do with Amber again or do with other people that are different than me. And they can hear, what it's like from other people, not just from myself. So, yeah, but I'm definitely going to be carving a chunk of time in the morning, probably. I don't think I'm going to be doing anything at night other than maybe getting some video content for the next day. But yeah, I think I'm better in the morning. I'm more focused in the
Same.
morning, I feel
Yeah,
like. So,
sure.
yeah.
Same. I'll have to get up early and do mine. Okay. So real quick, because Christina's got some really good tips for us tonight too, and an exciting thing to hand you guys that will help all of you. But what about after the trip? How do you market after you get home from the trip?
Hmm. Man, I don't know. I shouldn't say I don't know. I do know because it is such an overwhelming feeling when you leave a trip like this because you learn so much, you meet so many people, and it feels not real still when you're leaving. Like you're just like, how did this even happen? So, I think it's super important to talk about those things on your social media after your trip. Like recap what you did, recap how you're feeling coming off of that trip. Um, recap all the parties that you did, or anything that, really stood out to you on that trip and meant the most for you. I think is going to be really important to highlight on your stories or in your posts, and just show a lot of gratitude. Because people want to see that they want to see how well our company takes care of us. They need to see it, actually, I should say. People need to see like how well our company takes care of us, and like your gratitude for it, because people don't get treated like this where they work most of the time. So yeah, and just being vulnerable. Be vulnerable on your social media after the cruise. Like, talk about how you really felt, how excited you were, like how emotional it was, whatever it feels like for you. Talk about that on your social media. And then do a call to action too. Like, invite people to come and join you on the next trip, because there's gonna be another one, you guys. A year from now, there will be another one. So call people to come do this with you. That's what I did on every single post I did, including, I think, the one that Hannah reached out to me from. I said, you guys can do this. Come do it with me. There's going to be another one. And I think that's the one that hooked Hannah. But so just making sure that you're being vulnerable, being emotional, and just talk about all the amazing things that you did on the cruise.
Yeah, and just like you said, that people they need to see how well our company treats us, because people don't get treated like that. But you know what else? They don't get to experience the feelings that we feel. Like the everything you're talking
Mhm.
about, like whenever you are leaving the trip, there are a lot of emotions because you learned so much and you are so inspired and you met so many people and you experienced so many fun things and you're just so overwhelmingly grateful. That does need to be communicated, because people don't generally walk through life feeling that way. Not most of the time. And we as Plexus ambassadors who work hard and get rewarded, we do get to feel that way most of the time. And our audience needs to see that. So I think those feelings speak volumes, because they don't want to only experience what you're experiencing, they want to feel what you're feeling too. So, Hannah, how about you? What are you talking about after the trip is over?
Yeah, basically everything that you guys both just said. But you know, just like what you said about the feelings, like that is literally what hit me because I felt very underappreciated at the place that I was at because we were so short staffed that you just felt like a number. And I could feel that through Amber's stories and the way she was talking about the company. And I thought, if this company is making her feel like that, why couldn't it make me feel like that? And just how grateful that, this is my life now. I I don't have to work my full-time nursing job anymore. And I get to do this full time and I get to stay home with my girls and I still, get to go on fun trips and obviously sharing your highlights and everything. Um, and I think it's so important to, getting vulnerable, like Amber said, in your stories, because when you get vulnerable, it allows others to get vulnerable with you instead of just having that, front the entire time. And, there's all, like Amber said, there's always something to look forward to. Like, share how, you could come with me to convention contests. Like, Amber and I already swept that contest, like they could come, let's go pick out some cowgirl boots and a cowgirl hat and some jewelry. Like, let's let's head on over, I mean, just like sharing how there's always something to look forward to, whether it's an incentive or a promotion or a deal or some, party that your upline is hosting or a convention, a trip, like just anything. And just I think the main thing is just sharing just how grateful you are because I think people can really feel that. And just they can feel how sincere you are too. So,
Mhm. Yes. All right. So for all the people that are going to be watching your content, obviously, if you're posting on your feed, you can't tell if people see it. But if they like or comment on any of your content that, leading up to the cruise, on the cruise, after the cruise, if someone likes or comments, what are you going to reach out to them and say?
Um, well, for somebody who likes and comments on it, on like a status or whatever it is, I'd probably just say something like, "Hey, I saw that you liked and commented on my post. Thank you so much for your support. It truly means the world to me. This cruise has been so exciting, and I'm just curious, have you ever thought about doing something like this? I'd love to share more about how it works with you." And
Perfect.
just leaving it at that. Very simple.
Perfect. Hannah, would you say the same thing?
Yeah, I feel like I'd say that pretty much the same thing. Because obviously, if they're liking or commenting on like if they're liking your post, I feel like they have some form of interest, but, you
Mhm.
know, right away they might be thinking like, "Ooh, I'm not going to comment because I'm a little hesitant." And
Right.
so I feel like sending them a message and saying, exactly, what Amber said, like, "Oh my goodness, thank you so much for liking my post and following along on my journey. I really appreciate all of the love and support from you." And just really making them feel heard too. And, just like what Amber said, I'm curious, have you ever thought about, what an extra stream of income could do for you and your family? No pressure at all, but I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
So,
All
yeah.
right. So, like you said, some people are going to be too like scared to like or comment, but they watching. So, what do
Mhm.
you guys say to somebody who hasn't liked or commented or engaged on anything, but you can see that they are watching your stories? What do you say to the story watchers?
Yeah, I do this often to people that just like or not like they just look at my stories. That's why I said make sure you see who's looking at your stories earlier because that's definitely very important. But I just usually say something like, "Hey, whatever their name is, I always see you in my stories and I love that you follow along with my crazy life. I'm just curious, have you ever thought about doing something like what I do?" And just leaving it at that.
Perfect.
Again, very simple, very, very simple.
Okay. Perfect. Hannah, you say the same thing?
Yeah, I definitely am a very direct person, I feel like. And so I feel like I would probably say something, around the lines of like, "Hey, Sarah, I see you've been popping up in my story views." And I love that, you're following along on my journey. But I would say, like, so I have to ask you, are you just watching? Or are you a little curious about how I've earned this cruise and the shopping spree? You know, um, because if you have questions, I'd love to help answer your questions. So
Yeah.
I definitely I think approach a lot of stuff very direct.
Yeah, that's really good. All right. Okay. This has all been very valuable information. You all should be pretty confident and have good ideas on what you're going to be posting before, during, and after this trip. And Christina now is going to share with you whether you earned the cruise and don't get to go on it because you were not one of the first 1,300, or you did not earn the cruise, how you also can still capitalize on the opportunity to market this and grow your business.
Yes, so exactly. I think the first thing I want to do is just kind of acknowledge the elephant that is in the Zoom room. And I think the reality is because of capacity of the ship. I know that there are some of you who earned a spot and were waitlisted and you get the $500. Some of you pushed really hard and did not quite earn it at this time. And so I just want you to know it's okay. We see you. We have been you. We have team members that have been you. And it actually doesn't have anything to do with your eventual long-term success. So, but I do want to acknowledge that I know that that feels really heavy, and I know that it can feel frustrating. But here's what I want to encourage you with: this moment, it is absolutely defining because how you respond to it will determine your next level in the business. And here's what I want you to know. You have the opportunity to leave this situation completely empowered and not in the slightest bit bitter. And I want you to know that I have firsthand experience with this. So you can absolutely still use this cruise to grow your business, whether or not you ever step foot on the ship. But it's going to start with what you're believing first. So, personal story, because I've seen this exact same situation, and I know many of you are in it, and many of you are leading people who are in it, and how we show up as leaders matter. So, the first time I ever earned a Plexus cruise, I had a couple of teammates who both qualified, but were waitlisted. Okay. And they didn't make it on because of capacity. And I saw two very very different responses. So one of those teammates is my girl, Jackie Cox. She's a senior Ruby on my team. I called her earlier. I'm like, hey, listen, you go with me sharing all the details? She's like, yeah, absolutely. Here's what I'll tell you. Jackie was one of the ones, she earned it. She worked so hard and earned it like the very last week of the contest. And we were thrilled, okay, that she earned it. However, she was not one of the first to qualify. Here's what I'll tell you though. The way that she responded to that, it taught me a couple of things about her. Number one, I think that you can tell a lot about someone's integrity based off of how they respond to adversity. And so what it did is it really built my trust in her, and it really cast vision for what her potential was as a leader moving forward. Because instead of getting stuck in frustration, she took total ownership. And I know that that can feel like, wait a minute, what do you mean took ownership? She recognized that the trip was awarded fairly, first earned, first served, and she understood that she could have done some things to qualify earlier, right? And I know that that's a tough pill to swallow, but I'm telling you, she recognized it. She was like, all right, I should have worked at the beginning of the contest like I worked at the end of the contest. And she literally on the phone was like, okay, I will change how I move forward into the next contest. She also chose gratitude for the $500 bonus that Plexus gave her, and she trusted that the company was doing the very best that it could. They obviously did not have a magic wand and could not, magnify the ship. The ship is the ship. It comes with limitations. That is what it was. Um, Instead of dwelling on her frustration, she felt it, right? She really wanted to be on the ship with all of us, but she used it as fuel. You guys, she buckled down. She ranked up after the cruise, and she has never, ever missed another trip since then. Okay. Example number one. I also had others in that exact same situation who responded very differently. They placed blame. They focused on what they did not get instead of what they did get. And they honestly, they let resentment take root. They eventually found a reason to leave Plexus. And honestly, it was just a matter of time. Like you can tell the integrity of someone based off of how they respond under adversity. And so I just really respected the way Jackie handled that. And like I said, was made better for it. She would tell you she would not change a thing. Okay. So here's the truth. The way you respond right now, it will absolutely shape what happens next in your business. So you can let it discourage you or you can let it drive you, but you get to decide what it's going to be. Okay. So couple of, things that I want to talk about. Oh, the good news. I think everybody needs to think about the good news. The good news is when you have an incentive trip that is blown out of the water and so many people are in it, so many people are winning, this is good news. This is great news for Plexus because it means we're growing, more people are winning, and that is something that you can market. That is something that you can market. It means people are doing what you're doing, and you should always be looking to highlight ways that our company is winning, and this is a win. Also, if you earned your spot and you just didn't get on, you've already proved that you have what it takes to earn trips. Means you can do it again. But next time you won't just earn it, you will dominate because you will come in with wisdom and experience. All right. So now maybe you did not earn the cruise and you're thinking, everyone else is just luckier than me. That's absolutely not true. Maybe they made a decision to go all in sooner than you did. Maybe they made a decision to get more uncomfortable than you were willing to get this time. But that there's differences, but that means that you can change. It means that going forward the next time, it can be the year that you don't just watch the trip, that you actually do the work required to earn it, and you can be on the trip. So I want to talk to you about how to leverage the cruise, even if your foot will never be on the boat, because those of you that decide to leverage this trip, even if you're not on it, you will be the ones who are earning the next ones, and you will be bringing people with you. So it's really important that you are leveraging the trip, whether you're on it or not. Let me show you how to do that. I really love when I get to try to share my screen. Da, da, da. Can y'all see a boat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Now, here's what I'll tell you. Your audience does not need to see you on the boat to believe that this business is real. They just need to see that it's happening for real people. So how will they know? You're going to share testimonials. Maybe you're going to share a post that one of your friends made. Listen, I can be your friend. You need a friend's post to share? Share mine. Share examples from people on the cruise that would relate to your target audience. So something like, hey, my company just sent my friend on this all expense paid trip. Next time it's going to be me. So I'm leveraging someone else's experience, but I'm casting vision for where I'm going to be in the future. Okay. So you don't have to be on the boat in order to do that. You can create curiosity. You guys, we vastly underutilize this fact right here. We have a CEO committed to the network marketing model and a company spoiling their people. That is job security in our industry. We need to be marketing that. Next time I won't just be watching, I'll be packing. Who's coming with me? So you can still have a call to action even if you're not on the boat. You're telling your audience, "Hey, I'm this is where I'm headed. I'm headed here and I want to take some of you with me." You can go live, do stories talking about it. Here's where you can say, "Hey, I have a friend on this boat. She used to be a teacher. She's a mom of four. Look at her now. Some of her kids and her mother-in-law, they're on the shopping spree with her. Here were some of the things she overcame." Tell some stories of people on the boat and then highlight some of, you can grab some of their pictures. Okay. So share what's happening and then highlight people that you know your audience would relate to. Here's a pastor's wife on the trip, spoiling her husband with some time away, something like that. Okay, use the energy of the moment. You guys, people love success. They love seeing people win. And so you have an opportunity to do that. Okay. And then paint vision for the next trip. If you've ever thought that is so cool, but that could not ever be me, I'm here to tell you that thinking stops today. Let this be the moment that you decide that you're going to be the one on the next trip. Not hoping, not wishing, but deciding. Okay. I would also take that language into a private message that says, "Hey, listen, I've watched my last trip. I'm going on the next one, and I can't think of anybody that I'd rather go with than you. What are your thoughts on coming and doing this thing with me?" So I would be doing both. Okay. Also, there is a trip coming up that everyone can be at that does not have any capacity limitations that you can absolutely use to leverage your business. If you want to complain about not being on Leaders Retreat Cruise, but you've not registered for a convention, no. Okay. You will not find an up and coming leader who's not making convention a priority. So here's a trip that you can use. You can market it. You can register. You can come register.
It actually does have limitations, just caveat.
Limitations.
We're half sold out. So
Oh, snap. Oh, snap. See, listen, don't be waiting until the last
Right.
one is sold. And then you'd be like, "See, Plexus don't even want me at convention." No, get your ticket. Get your ticket and come to convention and then take a picture with me. Okay, now it's so funny, Amber and Hannah, that you guys talked about all the prep work you would want to do before the cruise. We created this handy dandy little flip book that tells you all of your ideas that you mentioned that you could do before, during, and after the trip, pre-trip, post-trip, sample links to different example posts that we've made in the past. It's all here, perfectly packaged. Here's your QR code. You can have it. Everything that you could possibly need to kind of wrap your head around how you want to leverage this trip to increase your income and your impact, it's right here. So utilize it. Hope it's helpful.
So good. So good. You're always so generous with your expertise and your resources, Christina. So I know how much time and effort you put into making that little resource for everybody. And
Christy was a very helpful help. So shout out to Christy McDade.
yeah, shout out to Christy. She's a hard worker. All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much. This was incredibly valuable, and I cannot wait to see y'all on the cruise. I hope you guys enjoy your trip. I hope you guys enjoy your well-deserved shopping sprees, and I will see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.